I want to be the best female luxury wedding videographer that's out there. The wedding world is a high money making industry that people really sleep on. So I started wedding video when I was 19. I knew like instantly, I was like, this is something I could make a career out of. I want to do luxury weddings, have open conversations, like the community aspect, just surrounding yourself, putting yourself in the room with people who love Jesus just as much as you do. Like it can really, really change your perspective. And I was putting myself in the room with the right people. I knew I couldn't figure it out all by myself. If you can't build relationships with people well, I mean, that really is like what it does come down to, because you could be the most skilled filmmaker on the planet, but if you can't sustain a relationship with someone, no one wants to have you there. If you're not going to give them a good experience, for us, we have to be a positive, smiling face. Completely separate personal and business. It's so important to experience all the emotions, especially when you're dealing with things. But when it comes down to little things, and I'm at work, you know, if I'm having a tough day, you're not going to know.
I have a hot take about the wedding industry.
Okay, I'm here for it.
I want to get your take on the stigma that Emma Burke, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome to Created Crate, guys. Here we are, another episode, another day, another episode. Nothing really special to say in the beginning. I'm just really excited for this one. I'm always excited. You guys know I'm always excited, but Emma is someone who is very well known in the wedding video space, the wedding filmmaking space. So if you are in the wedding space, photographer, videographer, filmmaker, this episode's for you. Like I really wanted to bring someone on in that specific space because I know that's a really big part of the video and photo world. And that's the world I'm in. And so, I'm excited for you to come on here, just share a lot about your experience in the space, but also your life too. And hopefully you guys can get a little bit of value from that. But I'm really excited you're on. And glad you took the time.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No,
you just got back from Mexico, didn't you?
Yeah, I just got back from Mexico. And no, it's honestly like so great to get to talk about weddings because I feel like it's an industry that very much gets overlooked here in LA specifically. Like it's the funniest thing ever, like moving here. Like I have had to learn like a lot of humility because like coming here and you're like, oh, like what do you do? And everyone's like, oh yeah, like I'm a writer, I'm a producer, I'm an artist. I'm like all like such great things.
Right.
And then I'm like, they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a wedding videographer. And they're like, oh my gosh, I did a wedding when I first started too. And it used to really like make my blood boil because I so desperately wanted to just be like, no, actually, like these are the weddings I do.
You're like, actually, like there's wedding videographers and then there's me sitting at the top.
But it's been so good because it really has taught me like truly like, and this goes for everyone, is like your biggest flex is almost like what people don't know. And it's been really cool, like even in those conversations about being like, yep, you know what? Yeah, I am a wedding videographer. And it's really cool, you know, and it's cool. And all the different, you know, types of video work here and creative industries that there are here are so incredible. But I feel like it's an industry, especially in Los Angeles, that it's a very small part. But for me, I mean, it's like literally my whole world. So it's cool to get to come kind of talk about it to creatives who aren't in the wedding world.
Well, we'll hype you up, Emma. We'll hype you up. I do agree, though. It's good when you're just in a social environment like that. I think, like, I always hate talking about work as well. And I think it makes for a way better conversation when you're able to get past that quickly.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's a superpower for you because you can just be wedding videographer, be like, oh, okay. And then you get into life with them and then you're able to have such a better conversation.
It is really fun. And like, I think it really goes past the like needing the validation, right? Like, because as just people, like, it's very easy to search for that validation of like, let me reassure you, like, this is what my career looks like. And this is like X, Y, and Z. This is like legit, you know? But if you can like get past that part and just be like, no, like I'm fine. You know, if everyone thinks that I, you know, just do the low key weddings, like that's fine, you know? So it's a cool world. It's a cool industry. And I'm excited to talk about it today.
I love it. Well, I want to nerd out for a little bit about one of the specific weddings that you shot because I'm a basketball fan. So when I saw that you shot Jalen Brunson and his wife, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, that's so sick. I mean, obviously it was cool. It's in People magazine or whatever, but it's an NBA player. So to me, I'm a big fan.
Thank you. No, it was honestly such a cool moment. And I was like 3 years into my career at that time. And so it was really crazy going from where I had started in my business to then being able to be at that caliber of weddings and work with that type of clientele.
And I mean, they were truly just the sweetest clients and getting to meet players. And I work with a lot of different professional athletes. So it's really cool just to kind of see their vibe. You know, everyone, they all love to party, which is so fun because that's definitely like the type of videos that I love. I love like someone that like loves a lot of the hype, a lot of the party. But yeah, it was a really, really cool wedding. Honestly, in Chicago. It was in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, no, wait. What year was this?
This was 2023, which is so
That's
wild.
wild.
It feels like so
I was
long
living
ago.
there then.
Really?
Yeah, I
that's
spent
insane.
like 3.5 years flying back and forth between Chicago and here. Like I lived both places. But yeah, I lived like in West Loop. Was it near there?
It's great. It was okay, I'm not super in. I don't know Chicago very well, but it was like
no idea. No
I just
idea.
know it was at the Ritz-Carlton in Chicago, and it was in the middle of the city.
Okay, yeah, like in the Loop.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
there it is.
In July?
Or North,
Were you there?
I think in North Loop. July. I probably was actually. Yeah, we did a lot of events in the summer of 2023.
That's wild.
In July in Chicago. Yeah, I was probably there.
That is
And then August
crazy.
was Lollapalooza.
Okay.
Like the beginning of August. So yeah, I was definitely around. I was like bouncing back and forth for
Dang.
sure. That's
Yep,
so fun.
We were there. Yeah, we went over to their high school and did like, because they were both high school sweethearts, super cool, and did like a little interview in the basketball court, on the basketball court, like walked around the grounds.
That's
and then
so
like
cool.
they obviously went into their welcome dinner and the whole wedding weekend. And it was just so much fun, really cool atmosphere. And yeah, definitely one of my first, I think, like high profile type of clientele. So it was really cool
That's so
experience
cool.
too.
So you've been, speaking of like high profile, you're someone who's shot for a lot of people now since then. You've been featured in a lot of different magazines, so you're kind of solidified now. But what was it like making that transition into that world? And I guess my nerd question is, what's the difference between like luxury wedding and regular wedding filmmaking, you know?
Right.
And what kind of levels you up to that level,
Yeah.
to that next stage?
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, loaded question, but I'm
Loaded.
totally
I'm
here to
so
tackle it.
bad about that. Like I'll always ask like 3 questions in one. So
No, it's okay.
We'll start with the first
Yeah.
one. What did it take for you to make that jump?
Yeah. Okay. So when I started wedding video when I was 19.
Okay.
And I have a bachelor's in accounting, so I was in college at the time.
Okay.
So I'm like total business. I'm way more business oriented than I ever have been a creative, which I
Really?
think is a very interesting contrast because a lot of people are much more creative than they are business.
Right.
And obviously, like we all have creativity a part of us. Like I am a creative, but I definitely
agree. High five for that one. We're already there. We're already there. I feel like half the time I'm trying to convince people like you are creative.
Yes, no, and it's like everyone has that creativity inside of them, right? For me, I definitely was much more I am much more business oriented.
Yeah.
And anyway, so when I started in 2019, I was living in Oregon at the time, and I was an elopement videographer. And so for those of you who are listening who are not a part of the wedding world, an elopement is when two people have a very small wedding, and usually it's just the two of them, and they travel somewhere to get married.
Yeah.
And usually it's in really beautiful locations, you know, the mountains, the beach, could be anywhere. I mean, now elopements are a lot more popular.
Right.
But at that time,
It's
I was
gonna
doing.
be me. That's gonna be me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to do an elopement?
100%. Or an intimate wedding.
Wait,
for
where?
Sure. I don't know yet. Probably in
Okay.
the mountains somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big mountain guy.
Big mountain guy.
Big
okay.
mountain guy.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, you got Oregon.
Well,
you got
I don't even have the
Colorado.
girl yet, so we'll talk later about that.
Let's just plan your wedding right now.
Let's
Ben.
do it. Without my future wife.
Right. And then when she comes into the picture, we'll just let her know.
Imagine.
like-
I'm like, by the way, everything's already taken care of.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. And she's like, excuse me?
You thought you wanted to plan your wedding, but it's fine because I have it all taken care of.
I'm like, you know that scrapbook you've had since you were 5? Chuck it. Throw it away. You don't need it
I
anymore.
did one last month. Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay, so anyways, so I was in Oregon at the time, and I just think this correlates because I was doing a lot of elopements. I was doing a
Right.
lot of stuff like in the woods, in the mountains, at the beach. But I knew very quickly like what my goals were. Like when I shot my first wedding, I remember I made $400, and I literally was like, "This is the coolest thing ever!"
Let's
like
go.
going through college, making $400.
400 is a lot of money.
Yeah,
It's a lot of money, especially as a college student.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you know, it's like, of course, I give them this long film and their speeches and their sermon. Like, I gave them the moon for this $400, but I knew like instantly. I was like, this is something I could make a career out of. Like, this would be really cool. Like, I don't have to work the 9 to 5. I don't have to like be an accountant.
Yeah.
And
Be your own accountant.
yeah, and so I really went into the whole like doing just a lot of elopements. Then I started getting more into the wedding world. And as I got into the wedding world, I was like, I want to do luxury weddings. Like, I want to work with high profile clients. Like, that's what I wanted to do. And it was really cool because once I formed those goals, I was like, all right, let's get this. Like, let's tackle it. And so it was a lot of like workshops, a lot of mentorships. Like, I did a ton of mentorships with so many different filmmaker, different
Where
entrepreneurs.
you're sitting underneath them.
Yeah. And was like, what do I need to get here? And I think it's like, definitely is a lot of, to kind of touch on like, how do people get there and like, what's the difference? Like, it is a lot of swallowing your ego. Like you get to this point in your business where you're like, okay, like I cannot teach myself anything else yet. So I need to go out and I need to seek help from other people. And so for me to be at that point where it was like, okay, this is where I currently am. Now me bringing on other people to help me get to where I wanted to be and reach those goals quicker. Then obviously I got out of the Oregon market. I had moved to California, and I had been working in California for about 2 years prior. I've had my business for 5 years now.
Okay.
So I'm 5 years in, going on 6. And so I just did everything that I could to get in the luxury market. I was putting myself in the room with the right people. I was, gathering a portfolio of styled shoots, which maybe who's listening right now doesn't know what a style shoot is, but it's like a spec ad, right? It's like a spec ad for a wedding. Is what a styled shoot is. And so it was like putting myself in these positions to get myself exactly where I needed to go. But I think you can't do that unless you know what your goal is. I knew my goal was I wanted to be in the luxury market. I knew that I wanted to be in a place where, I could be charging $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a wedding. Like that was where I wanted to be. And so how did I need to get there? Well, I knew I couldn't figure it out all by myself. So I was going to go and do mentorships, online courses, workshops from people who were doing it, get myself in the room with people that I needed to be in with. And that is what really continuously elevated me in all types, business, how I filmed, what I filmed on, how I networked with people, what my edits were looking like. They just would continuously elevate to get me in front of that clientele working these weddings that I wanted to be in.
Right. Yeah, that makes total sense. And from what I'm gathering is, which this may be the answer to the second part of the question, that difference is more on the business and the service side and less on the actual video that you're producing, right?
Yes. I think it's like there's definitely like that gray area, right? Because it's like you can't be filming a $50,000 wedding and be producing crappy work.
Obviously.
Right. It's like that, right? but to that same point, like when you're working weddings at that caliber, they are expecting a certain quality from you, a certain quality of work. But to that same point, I even surprise myself to know that even people that really inspire me, that we can get so caught up in our heads thinking that this goal is never achievable because we could never be like them. And then we realize like all of our work is very similar in a sense of like they're not doing anything that I physically cannot do. Right? It's just, again, like I need to teach myself those things. I need to learn those things. I need to grow. And we're literally talking about quality of edits. And I think when I was first starting in this industry, I saw all of that as completely unachievable because I was like, oh my goodness, their work is so great. I will never reach that point. But we all have the same capability, right? It's just what we do with it. So I think you definitely have to have that high quality of editing, but you have to remind yourself that you are capable of it. Like I truly am not someone who can sit here and like nerd out with you on film gear and like editing tips, like, or color grading. Like I'm not that person and I'll own up to it. Right. So for me, it was, okay, I'm going to bring people on my team who are really knowledgeable at those things that can teach me, that we can grow together. Right. And that's to my best benefit. And that's fine. And that's gotten me to where I can produce wedding films that are of that caliber. Right.
So you'd say you sit more in the producer chair now. Like you're just you're like pulling the strings and making sure everybody needs what they need so that the product can be made.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I am the face of every wedding that I am the face of every wedding. I am.
You're still doing the work, but it's you're playing to your strengths and then hiring people
Exactly.
to play to your weaknesses.
I always have a team with me, so I'm never filming a wedding alone.
Yep.
Teams can range anywhere from just 2 of us to a team of 5, right? We bring in on-site editors. I have an editing team that works for me, and so 100% it is really leaning on having people who, again, like to play to my strengths, right?
Right.
Like I'm going to do what I'm really good at, and this person's going to do what they're really good at, and you put us together and we can create something that is insane.
Yeah. And it is insane. It's
Thank
crazy.
you.
Yeah. You were showing me some of the stuff from the wedding you just did this last week, which was, I think you said, the biggest wedding you've done so far.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank
That's
you.
huge.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was an absolutely insanely incredible wedding in Mexico.
Wild.
3-day wedding. It's published now.
Yeah.
So, which is super, super cool. But
They had
yeah.
like Rufus Du Sol headlining.
Yeah. Oh my
Insane.
goodness. Absolutely wild.
Can you say how much like the wedding cost? Is that public knowledge or no?
Yeah. I mean, the wedding itself was millions of dollars.
Wow. That's
and
insane.
it like
It's a lot of money to put into it.
It's wild, like what clients. I had clients fly in Medusa. I had clients private charter all their guests to Spain for an engagement party,
Wow.
for a 4-day engagement party. Like the wedding industry that I specifically work in is like it's not normal. Like it is not normal, and I think
No.
like sometimes even for me, like because it's my industry, I can go so numb to like the numbers.
Right.
But and that it's like I have to step out and be like, no, this is crazy. It is crazy to fathom spending $5 million on your wedding.
You're not going to spend $5 million on your wedding?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
Absolutely not. It's
Ain't nothing but a
crazy.
thing.
Oh, it's crazy.
Ain't nothing but a chicken wing. I don't know why I just said that. Put me in front of a camera and just weird stuff happens.
I really love that.
I'm from Indiana. That's what we say back there. We're cornbread back there.
I
in
heard
Indiana.
that southern
Yeah.
accent was starting to come out a little bit. I'm from Oregon, so there's no southern
None.
accent, but I grew up in southern
Zip.
Oregon, so
Southern Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay, you could like get a tiny bit of. I mean, in Oregon and Washington, there definitely is a country vibe, right? Like in the eastern parts.
oh my gosh, yes. In
Yeah.
the southern, well, I guess not Washington, but in Oregon, like southern Oregon. Like I grew up in like Yeehaw
Really?
County. Okay,
So
like,
you are a
yeah.
little bit,
No, I am. There's just no
little bit
accent.
hick in her.
Oh,
She
absolutely.
got that hick blood.
My hometown had 200 people living in it.
That's
my,
it?
My graduating class was 17 kids, 5 of which I went to preschool with.
No way.
Yeah.
My graduating class was 12,
Wait.
but it's because I was homeschooled.
Oh. Man, I never meet people who grew up in a tiny town like I did. So you just like enlightened me when you said that.
I grew up in a small town, not
Okay.
tiny. I think my town was probably like 10,000 maybe. So it was like a smaller city.
Which though is still small.
Very small, yeah.
Compared to
very
like
small.
anything here in Los
Right.
Angeles. It's small.
Yeah. But it didn't matter. Like I was homeschooled, so I just kind of like bounced around
Okay.
anyway.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
honestly, so my mom homeschooled me up until like I did half days up
Okay.
until 4th grade. Then
Okay.
I went full time.
That's cool.
But I remember like I'd go to school for half the day and then come home
Yeah.
and like do like the whole math science with like my mom.
Honestly, it's kind of legit. I just ran around in the woods all day, like as an elementary kid. Like I didn't really do anything, so I feel bad for my mom. We put her through the ringer, but
Got to build forts, sidewalk
that's what
chalk.
we did pretty much
That's
all day.
that was the
water
life.
balloon fights, kickball in the backyard.
There was no iPad.
no iPod at all. Now I'm an iPad kid though.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, mom. But you said you grew up in like Hicktown. So what was that
Yeah.
like, and why do you move to LA like out of a 200 person town?
Yeah. Okay. So moving to LA. So I grew up in a really, really teeny town. I always loved it, and I love going back and visiting. It's beautiful, like right on the river. And I had a really, really good childhood, like good school experience. I always was someone who was like, I want to go to a really big college. Like I want to be in a room and like no one know who I am, because
Yeah.
right, there's always the pros and cons of living in a small town.
Right.
Like everyone knows you and you know everyone.
They know
right?
your business.
Yeah. So I'd always wanted something bigger. And so I ended up going to Oregon State, which is where I went to college.
okay.
And for anyone who
OSU.
is... Yeah, OSU.
I'm a big the OSU fan. The Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
yeah,
we're
I
not
know.
really Ohio State fans. But it's okay. Honestly, the
At least
Beavers
you're
have
not Michigan.
always been terrible at sports. So,
Oh yeah, they really have.
like when
Yeah.
you live by the Ducks, like real bummer.
You're
My
kinda like-
parents grew up Duck
you're just
fans.
overshadowed. Can't
all
get
the
out of
time,
it.
all the time. Anyway, so I went to a big college. I really, really loved that. In terms of like moving to LA, like a whole other story. It's so funny because I think when people ask me on a surface level, originally I used to say, oh yeah, like I moved to LA like for work and just kind of a fresh start in life.
Yeah.
I was in an 8-year relationship, and I was
Wow.
engaged.
Wow.
I had bought a home with this person. I had
Wow.
a dog with this person, and
Literally built a life.
a
Jeez.
life with this person, like had grown up with them. And we just grew up into two completely different people, right? Without like getting into too many of those details, but I think like it is a really important foundation of kind of like my story and why I'm here. We grew up into two completely different people, obviously, as you would growing up in small towns, being 14 when you met, right?
Yep.
And I knew I needed to leave. And so when that had happened, my first thought was like, oh my gosh, what in the world do I do with my life? Like I had really built this life with this person. Like I have no idea what to do or where to go. And so the first thought in my head was like, what if you moved to Los Angeles? And again, for the longest time, I was like, oh, I moved to Los Angeles for work, right? Because the luxury market is there.
Right.
And I moved there because, like I just wanted that fresh start on life. But God totally brought me to the city. And it's the craziest thing because when I did move to Los Angeles, so many little things aligned and just made so much sense, like as a
Really?
part of my faith.
Like what? Do you have any examples?
Yeah. So I honestly, it's actually crazy. Actually, one of them, like the first thing that happened was literally right here in this room. Like it
Wait,
is,
really?
yeah, it's so crazy.
Wait, was it worship night?
It was.
No
it was.
way. Praise
So-
God. That's huge.
Okay, no, and this is actually it's super cool, and I don't know, like if anybody out there like can relate to just kind of like my backstory in any way, like happy to like talk more about it. But I moved here, right, and I had no idea what I was doing with my life, like truly, like the only thing grounding me at this point in my life was my career. That was the only thing that felt steady to me, and like I have a super supportive and loving family. I grew up a Christian, like I grew up with faith, right? But it's one of those things where it was like, oh yeah, I just grew up with it. Like really wasn't like so deeply rooted. And to me, it was kind of a little bit of the going through the motions kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so when I moved here, the only thing that had really, at that time, I felt like been consistent was my career. And so I was like, just had no idea like why I really was in this city. And I remember, so I moved in with who truly is like one of my sister's best friends, Megan.
Megan Edgman.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
love her.
love
She's
her
awesome.
to pieces. She was my roommate, and this is honestly like the first God thing was at that time when I was going through everything. I had no idea where to go. I had known Megan. I'd met her one time at like a prior work event in the wedding world. And I had basically just reached out, sent her a text. She was the only connection I knew here in Los Angeles. And I just reached out to her and I said, hey, I'm thinking about moving to LA. I'm going through some stuff right now. Like what areas of LA do you think are safe? And she...
It's a good question.
Yeah, great question. She responded to me and was like, hey, I have a room opening up in 4 weeks. Do you want to move in?
Wow.
And so it was crazy to see like that first card line of like, I'm starting over life completely, to have that door open for me, because like, would I have actually left? Would I have actually like moved in by myself and like then, gone through all those emotions and come back? Like you just never know
so
how
much
life
more
works.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had moved in with her. Such a God thing. But really, like, she had introduced me to our incredible friend group that we have now, which was so cool. And I will never forget, this is the part, and I made this such a long story, and we can cut out whatever we need to. But if somebody relates to it,
We
then
don't really
that's
cut
great.
out a lot in this podcast, to be honest. So
Okay, good. I'm
we're all
like,
about rambling.
so we came to worship night one night. And I will never forget, I think that it was the first worship night I had ever gone to. And we were sitting right here, literally in this room. And
Wild.
of course, now that we're podcast recording, I can't remember the song that it was. But I was just sitting there, and this song was playing. And it was a song that I remember so vividly growing up with in church, like with my family. And the song was playing, and it was, I cannot remember what the lyrics are, and we don't have to sit here and guess, but it was basically talking about, like, don't give up on me.
Okay.
And I literally just put my head down, and I was so overwhelmed, like I was crying.
Wow.
And I literally felt truly in that moment, like God was like, this is why you're here, because of these people. And it was so cool because like I wasn't even best friends with any of these people, really. Like I wasn't like I was meeting so many of them for the first time and still questioning like, what am I doing with my life? But it was like just this overwhelming feeling of peace. And I have never questioned that peace since then. Like I knew it was like I was brought to LA not for work. I could work in
anything.
Ohio. I could work in New York. I could work anywhere. The fresh start, I could have a fresh start anywhere in life. I mean, we all could have a fresh start anywhere in life, right? I was brought here to surround myself with a community of people who are young and love Jesus just as much as I did and who are also creative.
That's so cool.
And I didn't grow up with that. Like I grew up in a Christian household, but I never had a friend group who was so on fire about Jesus. And to then sit in a room, it was like, it blows my mind because when you think like God brought me to a city that you would think is one of the most secular cities in the country. Yeah. That you would think Jesus is not there.
Yeah, everywhere I go, people were telling me that left and right.
Yeah, like that's what everyone on the outside thinks. But he brought me to that city specifically to meet people who love Jesus just as much as I did. So I think that moment specifically, and I know I made that such a long story, but like that moment changed my life because I just was crying, and I just, in that moment, I remember like Megan put her hand on me and another girl did too, and we were just sitting there, and I was like, this is exactly why I'm here. And like I have such peace knowing the decisions that I had made prior to that were all right decisions.
Which is so crazy to say as well. Like, I'm glad you gave context to the decisions, because to me, like, hearing that story is wild that you would say something like that. In a moment, you would be like, this is it. Because, like, those are no light decisions being made.
Yeah.
To, like, step away from something that you've known for so long that I'm sure, like, people around you are like, this is so comfortable. This is your life. This is what you were meant for. Like, this is how you're, and I don't know the full details, but just to like put myself in your shoes, it's such a weird and uncomfortable decision to make. Yeah. So to me, I'm like, that's nuts. And my question is, why, like, you said you have never questioned that piece. Why do you not question that piece, and where does that piece come from?
It sounds so cheesy, but like, it really all comes from Jesus. Like I really felt in my heart like I wasn't meant to be where I was in life. And I knew that I needed to go. And I think when you see, like, I knew how serious I was taking marriage, and especially in a world where it's so much easier to get divorced than it is easier to like stay married.
That's crazy. It is.
Right? That I was like,
you don't have to throw a wedding.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay $5 million to get divorced.
Yeah.
Well, some people do.
Yeah, some people. Not I. But I just knew it's really hard, especially when you grow up in a small town, because you feel like, you get married, you get engaged, you buy the home, you get the dog, you do all the things, right? Those are the things. You could do those before you're 25, you are A+, right?
Chilling.
And I do want to say, like, there is nothing wrong with any of those things. So like I need to say that, because some people, like, truly, like, they are married, they did buy the house, get the dog beforehand, and like that is so great. So like I really don't say any of this to say that, like, none of that is wrong. It wasn't how my life was supposed to go, or how I was feeling that it needed to go. And it was just this like deep sense in my heart, but it was really hard. It was really hard because when you've got your whole family and friend group and everyone who is just all together because you've grown up together and you formed together, it is so hard to make that decision because no one understood, right? Like no one really understands.
Right.
Especially then when you're like, I'm going to move to LA, then people are like, oh, you're really crazy.
Yeah, you're
for
wild.
That.
Yep.
But it really, truly, it was like such a sense of peace from God. Like I really can't give any other explanation, because it was just that feeling of like, there were many ups and downs. There were many, like, and I don't say all that, like I moved to LA and it was rainbows and sunshines, because I had many hard days, right? And like I had many things to face past what I had been through. But there was always just, he was always just right there saying like, just keep going. And then that moment that I had here in this house really was that solidification of this is why you're here in LA, keep going. And then to more that it just was like, it was so solidifying in that piece, you know? And so I've led with that. And I mean, to even now just being in a happy and healthy relationship that I know I really deserve, I'm like, this is great, you know? And I'm so happy for the highs, the lows, just having that peace. And not everyone gets to experience that. And I hope everyone does, but yeah, that's, I think as it sounds so cheesy, but it's like, that's as deep as I could go. 'Cause that's really it.
A while ago, I didn't come up with this or anything, but I just had this realization that like the most cheesy things that we say and do are the most true.
Yeah.
They're filled with the most truth. And I think the reason we label them as cheesy is to defer the legitimacy of them.
Yeah.
To be like, not really. So yeah, I mean, it may be a little cheesy, but when you experience that, it is life-changing. You know, it's life-giving. It sounds like from your testimony. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely changed my life. And I just think had I not had faith throughout, had I not had my faith, had I not had God throughout that entire experience, like I have no idea what my life would look like today. And that like terrifies me to think of, honestly, you know, because the strength that he had given me through truly the hardest moments of my life where I thought like I can't do this, like, yeah, I don't know what I would have done without him.
What does that look like? Like, take yourself back to one of those moments if you want to.
Yeah.
What does that look like navigating through some of the messiest parts of your life? Like having Jesus there, but also what does that look like on a human level?
I think honestly, like for me, I have, and I'm totally obviously so far from perfect, but
really
so far. Let's make that clear. That was a really weird comment. I feel like it sounded weird coming out of my mouth.
No, it's good. I mean,
but,
it's real. I think it's really important to acknowledge that. I mean, we're not perfect. We're human. We're broken.
So broken. But for me, navigating through the messy situations, I think I allow myself to feel that way in that moment. Okay. And I think like really leaning on that. So moments that are really messy, allowing myself, all right, like if you're going to cry, like let's get it out. Like let's feel the sadness, right? Like truly feeling every emotion, because I think that allows me personally to process better. I used to be someone who was very much like, I keep those emotions inside, and then it's like, okay, like I'm going to then like blow up about it, and then all the emotions are coming out. So I think just like really experiencing those emotions, and honestly, like just the power of prayer, like truly just being able to talk to God every night. And even if I feel like I'm getting nowhere, because there's totally so many times where it's like, okay, why aren't you helping me? Right. Yeah. But then I'm like, Emma, like that's exactly what he's saying. He's like, you can't sit here and continuously, you know, ask me for help when like my heart isn't open to receiving any of those things. And
it's real.
It's really cool because I recently attended my church service about this was when the service was. It was like a month ago. But the service in specific, the pastor, it was a female pastor this one week, and she left me with something that I just have honestly like recently carried on with my life. But she was just talking about the story, and she was basically like, when things are going on that's hard, like what is your invitation? Like step back and think about your invitation. And I genuinely do this like every single day now, because I always have things going on in my life. But anytime anything is messy, I truly now I sit back and I think like, what's my invitation here? And I remember I was going on this walk literally just around my apartment. And it was like my first time going on this walk. I was like, okay, like I'm going to start walking every day. Great. I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to call a girlfriend. Like I'm going to like chit chat on my walk. Right. Of course, no one answers their phone. Then I'm irritated because I'm like,
I'm alone.
Yeah. Because I'm like, oh, I have to go on this walk, and no one's like, of course they're going to call me as soon as I get back in the door.
Yeah,
and it literally hit me. And I was like, what's my invitation here? And I was like, my invitation here is to be present and to like listen to the sounds around me, and to just like be in the moment and be alone, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so I just think like I am very sentimental in that way of like just those teeniest little things. I really like those stick with me. Like those really stick with me. And so I think just like really asking myself like, what is the invitation in this hard time? In those messy times, like before I moved to LA, it was me just like really feeling every emotion and really thinking like, okay, like I have had my whole life planned, literally my entire life planned up until this point. Now I have zero planned. Like, I just need to experience all the emotions and just literally get through it day by day. And thank the Lord truly that I did, because I could not imagine my life 3 years ago versus what it is today,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Praise God for that. That's, yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here as a believer as well, just listening to it. And it's just like really building up my faith too, because I think there's so many moments where we all have times where we just want to like lay back in bed, kind of give up on the day.
Yeah.
Or just like give up on a relationship, give up on a job. And I don't know, just hearing what you're going through and hearing how you process things really speaks to me, because I think I'm the same way. Like I've grown up and been put in situations that kind of caused me to do the same thing with my emotions. Like I would always keep them inside.
Yeah.
This isn't really something I've talked about a lot, especially on the podcast, but like I got to the point where my emotions wouldn't be processed at all, like as a kid. And that kind of built up through middle school and high school to the point where like I didn't even, like one of my best friends in high school passed away suddenly. It was crazy event that happened. But
I'm sorry.
thank you. He's amazing. Truly the best of all of us. But I like sat there at the funeral and all my homies are crying, processing, and I'm like literally sitting there, no tears, couldn't process, couldn't get my emotions from like here to here to here to out. And that really like rocked me, because I was like, dang, I'm so sad. I know I'm so broken about this happening.
Yeah.
But I can't process it. It's all just locked. And so what eventually happened is some stressful event happened down the road, which broke me out of that, months and months later, some stupid thing. But that made me break. And then after that, I like started realizing, and then I like broke down and about everything else. So yeah, for me, long-winded, it's like encouraging to hear that, because especially as guys, I think like women and men kind of process differently.
Yeah.
We're expected to process differently. And something I've learned is, okay, how can I healthily process things? I don't always have to cry. I don't always have to. But if that's presented, if the event is bringing me to that, then I shouldn't feel ashamed for getting there.
Yeah.
And for letting it out.
No, absolutely not. And yeah, I think it's like everyone experiences their emotions differently. And so it's like however you experience those, it's like just feeling them, Because I was very dismissive, and and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna have a total I'm crying all day, and I learned that in my previous relationship. Like that was something that I was flawed in, and that's what got me to this point where I one day was like, I can't do this anymore, and I up and moved I up and moved to a new state and started my life over. That was something that I learned, was like, no, you need to communicate better. Like you need to express those emotions and talk about those things, because your future partner doesn't deserve that either. No. And so it's like you learn things, like, and I learned so much. And so obviously that carried forth with me to now, of just like being so communicative and experiencing those emotions when I feel them, and truly, just like the power of prayer. But
yeah, no, I agree. Dang. It's super powerful. Thank you for opening up about that and
of
sharing.
Course, yeah. I think really it's such a big part to my story, especially when it comes to like why I'm here in the city. And because it's definitely so much more than a work thing. And I don't, it was a part of my life that has built me to be where I am today, and to have the life that I am so fortunate to live now. And so I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad. It's nice
the building
to share.
Blocks. It's the building blocks.
It's the building blocks for sure.
This may be an odd question, but going back into like the professional, the career.
Yeah.
How have you processed, if you have like those types of days, personal days where they're just really tough? How have you processed that in conjunction with your career too, and like being professional, you know, to the clients that are hiring you?
Yeah. Like just like having rough days. Like how do
Yeah,
I
like how do you
handle
process
those?
the rough days? Like,
Yeah. No, there's
how
definitely.
do you like put a mask on? Do you process through that? Do you you said communication is big for you now. So what does that communication look like, I guess?
Yeah, so I think like especially in the just in the wedding world or any professional world, like I mean, no matter what kind of creative you are, like in the professional industry, like it is not my client's job to deal with any of my emotions, and so I very much separate like my personal life versus my professional life. In my professional life, like I'm on 100% of the time, and that's what my clients are going to see. They're also paying for me to be on 100% of the times. I think that we can get very much in this world where we let our egos get in the way. And if we're having a tough day, our clients are going to see that we're having a tough day. Or like there's all these little things that's so easy to bring forward with you. But for me, no, I 100%. And I honestly will say, like, I really don't have a lot of rough days, especially not on the job. Like, I really do love what I do. But I mean, even in the days where it's like, okay, I'm about to work a 20-hour wedding day, like, okay, I'm
Which is
exhausted.
stressful in and of itself.
Yeah. When I'm 10 hours in and I'm like, we're halfway through. Oh my goodness. I absolutely like, I mean, it is completely like you mask it, you know, it's like my clients are paying for me to be on and to be excited to be there, which I am, and to be happy. And so I save the rough days for when I get home, and then I lay in my bed all day and I want to watch reality TV and just, you know, deal with whatever.
That's
but for
funny.
the most part, you know, it is like just being on, being happy, being excited. I don't know if that answered like it
No,
the
it
best
does.
way, but
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was just wondering like how you process that and how you kind of got past it, you know? Because obviously it's hard to put away feelings.
yeah.
If you're feeling something in the moment, you're just talking like, oh, if you're feeling it,
Yeah.
let it out.
Yeah. Okay.
But like,
yeah.
how do you if you're feeling, if you happen to be feeling it on somebody's special day,
Yeah.
what are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
You
so I
know?
guess that's like honestly total hypocrisy here that we're talking about right now. But
Feel
no,
it- mask your feelings.
I'm like experience all
I
your
didn't pay
feelings.
you to cry on my wedding
Yeah,
day.
I'm like experience all the emotions and then don't. I know. I mean, I really truly I just separate. I completely separate personal and business. Like I think like it's so important to experience like all the emotions, especially when you're dealing with things like my personal life, like, you know, everything that I've gone through, like really leaning in and experience those. But when it comes down to like little things and I'm at work, like I'm absolutely like, you know, if I'm having a tough day, like you're not going to know because it's a job, you know, I love what I do, but it's a job. You're paying me top dollar to show up, to give you 100%, regardless of the day I'm having, especially on people's wedding days. So yeah, I guess that could be the hypocrisy of this podcast. Is experience all the emotions, but then don't experience all the emotions.
We're just going to clip that, send it out. It was like, oh, Emma's a hypocrite. No, definitely not. It makes total sense though. I mean, I think everybody can kind of put those connections together, you know, because at the end of the day, I like where society has gone, you know. I like the fact that like even in the corporate world, people are a lot more aware of people's personal lives, right? Because it does matter at the end of the day.
Right.
And it's like, if you're on a wedding day and you get a call, Lord forbid that someone close to you dies, like I would hope that like you're obviously going to do your best to find a replacement or figure something out. But like you should be able to process that type of information, right?
1,000%. Yeah,
but-
like extremities.
But that's an extreme, that's an extreme low percentage.
Absolutely. We're talking here like you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you're just not
Suck it
feeling
up.
it,
Yeah.
you're tired that's what we're talking
And that's
about.
not what I was alluding to before, but I think it's, for me, it's just like, okay, it's cool that we are in a place where when stuff like that happens, or people just genuinely have some sort of, you know, mental issue, it's acknowledged.
Yeah.
You know? It's like good that that's acknowledged and people are a little bit more understanding now than they were like a while ago.
I think it is. And no, okay, I'm actually really glad that we're talking about this because even you're like, no, I'm not talking about just waking up on the wrong side of the bed. And I'm like, if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you can suck it up. You have a good day for your clients. No, but like for those things, any extremities, no, like it's so important to experience like any extremity of emotion, personal or business, like lean into those feelings. But I think like, especially from a business standpoint, like setting yourself
really setting yourself up in a way where if those things happen, you can be taken care of, right? And so I think, and this just comes down to like the super nitty gritty business stuff. But it's like even in my contract, like if some like act of God happens, a family member dies, something like that, like I can be excused. I will find a replacement for you. And I think that is important to say. Like when those things happen, you still have to take care of your clients, right? This is still work at the end of the day. Like I can't just say, hey, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to show up for. And I think the wedding industry in particular too. It's not like, oh, hey, like let's just reschedule this. Like this is happening with or without you. So I think it's just like setting yourself up in a way where, hey, you know what, I can have people take care of, like people are going to be taking care of you, but I have to step out of this 100%, you know, or whatever that looks like for those moments that are truly detrimental to your own health, right?
Yep.
And then getting out of it and experiencing those moments.
I agree. I'm right there with you. I love it.
Yeah. No,
Great answer.
But yeah, if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you suck it up. You put that mask
You
on.
get back into bed and then wake up on the right side. That's what you do.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, you have to, especially in the wedding industry, like you got to be a happy person, right? Like engagement parties, birthday parties, weddings, events, like all of those I cover. You have to be happy because these memories are literally lasting with these people forever.
Yep.
And to us, it's like, just another day. You know, how many weddings have I shot? I've shot like literally over 150 weddings in the last 5 years. More than that, probably.
Yeah.
But like, so to me, it's like just another day on the job. But for them, it's like
this is their day.
One of the best days, if not the best day for the rest of their life.
Crazy.
It's wild.
Gotta be on.
Gotta be on.
Gotta be on.
Yeah, you gotta be on. I love that we're talking about this though.
Me too.
This
Me
is
too.
great.
Do you think, not to like, it's not completely switching topics, but do you think wedding filmmaking, wedding photography is a formidable career to get into still? Or do you think
Absolutely.
like things are too saturated?
No. I think you could argue that every single industry is too saturated. I really think like in the tech world, like, I mean, we really could argue that every industry is saturated. So I think the wedding world, absolutely
Except for the trades, low key. I'll put that out there.
Yeah, no, except for the trades, except for the like physically
and
demanding.
Pilots, bro. We need pilots, dude. And good ones, not the ones that crash the planes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we do not want those.
No.
We do not want those. We are on too many flights to want those. Oh my gosh. But
I pray every time.
Tech-wise, right? Creative, I guess in the creative industry, you could argue that every creative niche is too saturated, right? Like there's always so many photographers, so many videographers, so many songwriters, so many artists.
Yep.
No, I think the filmmaking, the wedding world is a high money making industry that people really sleep on, right? You do need to decide. And I think this is important with goal setting is like where you want to go in the industry because there are some people like the luxury market's not for everyone. The luxury market, the true luxury market, right, is also very, very hard to get into. It's definitely not unachievable, right? Like I've done it, but it's hard to get into. You don't just all of a sudden say, I'm going to become a filmmaker and then the next year you're doing luxury weddings, right? I mean, maybe if you are, like reach out to me, like we got to talk. I'm stoked for you, truly. But, all that to say, like in the wedding industry, like there's so much money in the wedding industry, and I think just knowing kind of like what direction you want to go in and go into it. You know, there's some filmmakers who are like, I want to be in the luxury market. There's some filmmakers who are like, I want to be doing 200 weddings a year, right? And we're going to charge a lot less. They grow a team, right? Like they've got a big team-based brand. There are some who have that specialty service. There are some who sit right in the middle who are like, I don't need to be in the luxury market. I'm also not looking to do 200 weddings a year, right? There's so many different avenues that you can go in that can build such a sustainable career. And I think people really sleep on it. But you know, if that is you, again, you have to be a happy individual, right? Like you have to be a yes man because especially when you come into the wedding industry, like I'm not the client, right? Like I'm working for these people. I need to like consistently be able to show up, be able to give them like an outstanding service because this is one of the best days of their life, right? Like I can't let my ego get in the way. I can't just like, it's not on my time.
You're still in the hospitality service industry is essentially what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're creating a product for them, but at the end of the day, you're still hosting.
Yeah.
It's a funny way to look at it, but that's the reality of it.
So I think
even like what you were saying earlier, excuse me. Even what you were saying earlier about like relationships being a big thing. And like, to me, I look at the industry and that's where I see the jump happen. You know, you can have everything else, but if you're not able to like build relationships well and serve people well and think of things that they're not even thinking of, then like that's where you're going to find your ceiling.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can't build relationships with people well, I mean, that really is like what it does like come down to, because you could be the most skilled filmmaker on the planet and make like the coolest videos. But if you can't sustain a relationship with someone and you can't be someone who is joyful to work around, right? No one wants to hire that. No one wants to have you there if you're not going to give them a good experience. And yeah, I mean, it goes for your industry, it goes for my industry, like anyone really, it is in the creative world. It's like the hospitality, like for us, like we have to be a positive smiling face to continue to work, you know?
I feel like that should be a requirement for every industry, but
yeah, you'd be surprised.
Do you think it's harder for like guys then to be in that, in the wedding industry?
No, I would say the wedding filmmaker industry specifically is actually much heavier male dominated than it is female dominated. Yeah.
Okay. Is the photographer industry
is more female dominated.
That's so interesting.
It is so interesting.
You know why it's interesting? Because you're sitting here and you're a wedding filmmaker. I'm a wedding photographer, side hustle, and I'm a guy. So we're like experiencing.
Yeah, no, but I totally feel like truly, like in all my experience of everyone that I know and have met, it's the filmmaker industry is so heavily dominated male wise, and the photographer industry is dominated female wise. And I don't exactly know why. But
I gotta turn up my spicy side when I go in. You know what I mean? I gotta be a little bit more on the feminine energy when I'm like working these weddings.
Hey, honestly though, you never know, because there is always some clients who like, they're just stoked.
Stoked on the art. Actually, I have had a lot of clients on that side where they're just like,
okay, wait, how long have you been doing? How long, like?
So for me, that was one of the first things I got into as well. And then I basically got to the point where I decided I didn't want it to be my full-time thing.
Which is totally fine. I always make that joke at the beginning where everyone's like, oh yeah, I did that at first too. Yeah. You know, because it's not everyone's full-time career. So I totally get it.
That was me actually in that conversation, in our first conversation. You were like, oh, wedding. I'm like, yeah, I did that. Just kidding.
Yeah, that was Ben actually. No.
I was the mean guy. No, long story short, I love shooting weddings. They're one of my favorite things to do. They bring me a lot of joy, especially if I get to shoot them for like friends too.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to like book all my weekends out in the year to 2 years ahead of time. And so I just kind of made a decision. It was hard actually, because at that point, like that was my main income source.
Really?
So I was like,
it's hard
this
to
could
leave.
be easy, you know?
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some other things and I'm going to push myself and we'll see what happens. But I valued my time at that point.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's so, like, that is so cool because it is tough. I mean, that is something that I envy about, you know, any other career really, like in the creative world, is like, you get to do shoots on the weekdays, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, like, sure, I get to do some shoots on the weekday.
Right.
But a lot of my work is on the weekend, right? It's like flying out on a Wednesday and flying home on a Sunday, right? Yeah. And that's just like for a regular wedding. And that's tough, right? Like you're giving up a lot of your time. But I also like totally applaud you because it's also hard to leave when you have a consistent income, right? Yeah. Like it's hard when you're like, I could totally make this work.
Right.
And so I'm sure for you, it was like, oh, this is like really risky. But like you knew that your heart wasn't in it for those specific reasons, which is so valid. And so, I like applaud you because it's scary to leave that. And I feel like like we don't talk about that enough as creatives as a whole, of like knowing that the niche you're in isn't the niche that you really want to be in, but being scared to jump into the next. Right. Because what you have is stable and consistent.
Right. It's just like, you know, leaving anything else that was stable or consistent. Yeah. You know, it's the same kind of choice that you have to make. But I would encourage like even people, you guys that are listening, to like really look at your life and what you're called to do. And I want to talk about this with you as well, just like purpose and calling. Because I think that's what should dictate those decisions. Like it shouldn't be like, oh, I want to be a wedding videographer, so I'm going to do that. It should be, okay, what do I feel called to do, specifically? And for me, I knew for whatever reason at that point, I was like, I don't know why, but I know I want to be in a position where I can pick up and kind of go anywhere and then like anywhere and everywhere, whenever, because like I feel called to like build intentional community. That's just something I felt like before I moved out to LA. And so for me, it just like dictated that decision. And that's why I made that, because I knew if I went into this full time, it's not going to allow me to do what I feel genuinely called to do, the purpose that I feel on my heart. And I don't know, I just encourage like you guys to look at your life and then make decisions based off of that, because that's going to be way more fulfilling. You're going to find so much more joy in that. And it's just going to be like a better fit.
I honestly like couldn't agree more. And I think it's easy to get caught up in the other stuff, right? It's easy to let like the financial side define you, or just kind of like the achievement status type thing define you. I remember when I first moved to LA, before I had moved there, I wasn't like specifically in the luxury market. I was doing a lot of weddings and working a lot. I would travel a lot. And I remember being really exhausted of it. But honestly, I felt like at that time, and when I was in that kind of like that crucial, or not crucial, when I was in that time period of my life that was like just changing, my career was the only thing that was very stable in my life. And I remember like the only thing that I let define me was my career, right? Like if you would ask me about myself, I would tell you like, oh, I'm a wedding videographer, la la la, here's all the things about my career. Sorry, that's my...
You're just like, I'm giving you the laundry list.
Because I realized I didn't have a personal life that was like fulfilling me. And so my whole like 2023 goal was like, I wanted to be able to define myself without defining anything about my career. And I think that even touches on back to the humility of like, I don't need to prove myself to you of like what kind of wedding videographer I am or what kind of weddings I shoot, right? Because I needed to find a personal life that fulfilled me so much. All that to say, following through with that goal and really being able to describe myself without that, when I found a personal life that I really loved and enjoyed, it then like took this leadership of my career, right? It was like, okay, now that I am so fulfilled in life outside of my career, these are some changes that I want to make in my career that one can elevate me and continue to reach my goals, but that can also allow me to live. It was less of like, I need to make this much money and work every single weekend. It was like, okay, how can I really find this work-life balance and make these changes that fit more of my personal life? And I think that it's really cool, but it's very hard to do because it can be very easy to just let money and that scarcity and the risks just scare you into never changing or adjusting or making any other decision.
I think that's why so many people get caught into the trap of living a life that they don't want to live. Is because it is like, it's reality. Like, excuse me, it's reality. You need to pay bills. You need to take care of the people that are around you and take care of yourself. And as a young person, you know, you don't really get taught in today's education system. I don't want to get into that, but like you don't really get taught how to process those feelings and how to truly figure out your purpose. And so then you kind of get told to do certain things to go figure it out, but then those things actually don't help you figure it out. They just push you further down a road that somebody else wants you to go down. And so it's really hard if you don't know how to process that, you know, to even know that you're slipping into that. And then before you know it, you can't really, it's the hamster wheel. You can't really get out of it. But I do want to say too, I like that you attributed value to like the people in your life that you know and the people that like have the house dog kids before 25, because that's something that I think in my immaturity I held resentment towards. You know, in me moving away from Indiana, kind of dropping out of college and figuring out like there was something else for my life. I had this like resentment towards everybody else, inner resentment, where I was like, like you're stuck, like
Yeah.
you're doing this, like I'm going and I'm figuring it out, but you could be doing more, you could be doing this, but
Yeah.
you're not, like you're stuck in it. And in reality, that's just not where God had them, and that's not the desires that God put on their heart. And like my best friend and his wife have 2 kids. They have a dog. Used to have 2 dogs. One of them passed away.
Oh.
But like they live, back in my hometown in Indiana, and they're thriving. They like thrive there. They thrive in the life that God has designed for them. They both like feel so led to just be parents and raise up kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's beautiful. Like to me, that's so beautiful. And it's really helped my relationship with them now, understanding that, because like they understand where I'm at and where God is using me, and I understand where they're at. And it just makes us able to connect even more so. And it's just like cool, like I get to go and like be an uncle, basically like an uncle to like their 2 kids.
Aww.
And like live the life that God's calling me, but like still live some life with them too, and realize like what they have is so beautiful.
I think that's so cool. And when you find that, I think it's when you feel peace within yourself is when you can really like let go of a lot of that. And that sounds kind of weird, but like, because I've been there and like 100% where it's like, oh man, if you would just leave, if you would just like see it, what else is out there,
Go see the world.
But then you realize like that's not our life to live. That's not our life to live. And when you find that like peace inside yourself, like for me, I talk about peace so much, lol.
So cheesy.
So cheesy. But truly, like when you do find that peace, inner peace within yourself and your life and your contentment, then I just realized that again, it's like, it's not my life to live. Like they are so happy, and I'm so happy that they're so happy.
Yeah.
And once you are on your own life track of being like, no, I'm happy here. And I think it was hard for me to get there at first when everything was focused on my career, because all I had was my career.
Right.
I didn't have that inner peace that was like, oh my gosh, like I need to like have a family and be married and all that stuff. Whereas like now in my life, I'm like so excited for those things,
right.
Like I'm so excited for those things, and I see where they are now. And so it's like everyone's at a different stage in life. And
you're going to be able to step into that with a lot more confidence and a lot more peace and capability.
Yes.
Now that you've gone through what you've gone through and are going through what you're going through.
Absolutely. Like I can't say that enough. Even just like in my relationship now, like I am light years ahead of where I was like maturity wise and thought process wise. I think because like some of the stuff I have been through, to then know like how much more serious I'm taking it, and really finding someone that makes me excited about all those things. And so I've like really taken that into my relationship that I'm in now. I'm so happy and like excited to experience all of those things.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool. But I will say, like, to add on to that and to maybe wrap that up a little bit, I just encourage like anybody listening, if you're in a place where you aren't necessarily finding that peace in any specific place in your life, I think the first step is to process that, talk, but also just like seek the face of God, because it's, again, it's cheesy. And, there are other religions out there, but I think like when you seek the face of Jesus, that relationship really guides you to a place of understanding your heart better and your soul better. Not in a weird way, but just in a very simple, genuine way. And especially when you realize that like what God did for you is give you the opportunity to not put worry and anxiety and all these other things in life, but to rest in the fact that he saved you from eternal death and just given you like, a second chance at life here, but giving you like eternal life. It just gives you so much freedom, I think, too, to live within these choices and make choices more free, knowing that you have free will and you also have free grace in front of you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to live with like this weird tension on life that anything you do is going to just destroy you.
Right. No, I love that perspective. And I think like I can't agree with that more. I think like surround yourself with community of believers, because again, like my whole life I had grown up a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household. Like I went to church every Sunday. But I wouldn't necessarily say I ever connected to a T. Like I never felt what I feel now, I guess. And back then I totally thought, oh, I'm Christian, you know?
Yeah.
But it was like finding that inner peace. Like how did I find that? Honestly, was through conversation with other people. That brought me closer to Jesus. You know, it was me, like, again, like moving to Los Angeles, and you don't need to move to find your inner peace. But it was like, to me, to sit in this room with 20 other individuals who love Jesus truly so much, to just have open conversations, like the community aspect. That community, even if these people aren't your best friends, they don't even need to be your best friends, right? But just surrounding yourself, putting yourself in the room with people who love Jesus just as much as you do, like it can really, really change your perspective. And those are the moments where I feel like God can really work in your life.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're someone who's like, I just feel like alone right now, like I'm going through this and I feel like I don't have anyone who I can really talk to about that. Like I really encourage you, like truly, like I'll speak on Ben's behalf, like reach out to us, like reach out to
100%.
anyone if you don't have anyone in your circle, you know, there's so many people, like even just like us 2 touch points, but like find people, like especially like
Other listeners.
find other listeners. Like
that's why, like, I've been a little bit procrastinating on it, but like I really am trying to build that community around this movement, just because I know that there are people out there that I've met in person that have listened to certain conversations and certain people that I've talked to and come to that, like these similar realizations. And so I'm trying to like build that.
I love that
piece to the puzzle, you know, so you guys can have a little bit more of like a grounding, safe place to go and figure a lot of this stuff out. But yeah.
Which is exactly what this is.
Is
exactly what this is. And I love that. And it's like, you don't think that you need to sit in a room and have this conversation with someone until you sit in the room and have a conversation with someone and you realize how much that one conversation changed your entire life, your entire perspective, your entire heart. And that's truly all God working through this conversation here. Right. But yeah, wow, we went
deep.
Down.
We went left and right and then left again.
It's what happens. It's great.
It's what happens, you know? I think, like, in the beginning of doing this whole thing, this is real for you guys, but in the beginning of doing this whole thing, like, I spent so much time, like, stressing over, like, the flow of the podcast and being like, all right, I have to talk about this first and then this and then this and this. And I have to go through that list. And now I'm just like, you know what? First of all, like, God is going to lead the conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't really have to worry about it. Like, I did my research. I got notes here, notes for days, you know,
Aww.
but I don't have to hit every single thing, and I don't have to hit every single thing in order either.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, at the end of the day, you know, you try to keep it somewhat of an order. I've had some very ADHD conversations on this podcast, but I'm not like super worried about it, you know?
No,
it is what it is.
I love it. I think that's great though.
And if you want to listen to something else, like, go listen to something else. But
right. But if you want to stay here, stay here.
Flip around, dude. Like, go from minute 30 to 10 to 50. I don't care.
I think like but also too, it's like these types of conversations, like outside you and I, like other ones that you've done, like they're so healthy to listen to. They're so healthy to listen to. Like, I find myself some days where it's like, I want to turn on a 30-minute, like, give me all the business tips and tricks.
Right.
Some days I'm like, just be real with me. I just want to hear, like, some real conversation. Because, you have no idea what could stick with you, right? And what, like, you could relate with or what you completely disagree with that makes you then think about things. Like, it's really cool just, like, how much just a simple podcast episode, like, can change someone's life. And even ours, like sitting here thinking, you know, there's so many things like our conversation has pulled from me that I'm like, oh, I'm really going to think about that deeper later. And like,
let's go.
It's really great. Like, I love it.
Heck yeah. Now I pray over every single one. Like, before I get into it, I'm just like, God, lead this, make it something that's worth listening to. Yeah. But also something that just brings value and maybe makes someone think a little bit deeper or different, you know, about certain aspects of life that they never really had, whether it's their career or whether it's their faith or whether it's like, oh, I never really tried like Reese's Puffs with bananas on it before. I don't know. That was random. But yeah, like all of it, you know, we're all about like learning from each other and pulling the best things out of each other. So,
well, you're doing it. This
Thank
is
you.
so awesome.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Love speed.
I have a like hot take about the wedding industry.
Okay, I'm here for it.
And as a photographer, like I've definitely had this happen a lot to me before. But I want to get your take on the stigma that wedding videographers just shadow the photographer around the wedding day.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I mean, it's yeah.
You do. That's an admission right there. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I mean, honestly, yeah, this is such a hot take, honestly. So I mean,
Super hot.
you could totally take my opinion with a total grain of salt, but I do think to some extent, yes. And here's the thing: when I first got into the industry, I was very much like when I first got in, I was totally shadowing the photographer.
You're a
Like,
sponge.
the photographer was like
Yeah.
knows way more than I do. I'm new. I'm just gonna follow their lead, right? Then I kind of got to this point in my career where I was like, no, I'm gonna make myself known. I want to be leading all this stuff. I want to
Your
be doing all
rebellious
this.
phase.
Yeah, where it's like I want to be the alpha, right?
Right.
And then I really quickly realized, especially when I wanted to get into the luxury market, and then I just realized like the industry, just the numbers of the industry, and especially in the luxury market, I mean, I'm getting paid half as much as the photographer's getting paid, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just, I don't call the shots on that one. Like surely I would love to make
it is
the
what
same.
It is.
But that's just kind of how it goes. And so with that, I do take 100% the humility of recognizing that like, yeah, I'm gonna follow their lead. And don't get me wrong, like there's totally times I pose, I communicate things
Yeah.
like that, but I am no longer trying to be the alpha. And so I think that comment when people are like, oh, you just shadow the photographer, I think it can very much, and not from you, but
Yeah.
it can come from
I
like,
was playing the devil.
yeah,
For sure.
but it can very much be like answers to that can very much be very egotistical.
Yeah.
Where people want to be the alpha and they want to make themselves known just to make themselves known. When I think at the end of the day, for me, it is recognizing, okay, this photographer got paid twice as much. We can both do the same job if we're on the same team. I don't need to be the alpha. They're used to being the alpha. I'm going to 100% follow their lead, get what I need to get. If I need to stand out, talk, sure, I'll do that.
Right.
To get the shots that I need. But I mean, yeah. So I feel like I kind of went against the grain of what you were hoping I'd say. But yeah, I mean, I do take the photographer's lead.
Yeah.
Totally. There are some clients who did pay more for video. I've absolutely had clients where they paid more for me than they did the photographer. And I recognize that. There's some times where I know that I kind of am the alpha in the situation, but I never act like it. Because at the end of the day, like the client hired photo and video because we both serve two completely different purposes.
Right.
We are here working together as a team. And so you have to throw your ego out the window.
Have to.
And as easy as it sounds, you and I sitting here talking about it, so many people are like, oh yeah, of course. And then they go into the wedding day and you'd be surprised how much you let your ego get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, we just really work together as a team.
Creative
We communicate.
differences.
And yeah, at the end of the day, if I need to follow the photographer's lead and I can do a killer edit, that's fine with me.
You're
I don't
still
need to,
doing your job. You're
yeah.
making it like you're capturing what you need to capture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't need to be the alpha, and that's fine.
Right. I as a photographer, even there's few moments where the creative differences really matter anyway.
Yeah.
You know, there's the Vogue shots you want to get. There's the shots that like would go in a magazine. And so as a
Right.
photographer, I'm like, okay, I have an idea. I brainstormed with the couple on what they want, and like we're gonna make this idea happen.
Yeah.
I'm still open to like the filmmaker or videographer's opinion, especially if it's somebody that I trust. But other than that, like there's like everything else is really just you're capturing what's happening.
Exactly.
I market myself as my oldest sister is an official wedding photographer. She does it full time. But I kind of learned this from her, but I market myself as a journalistic documentary photographer because
I love that.
to me, I'm here to capture what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm not here to create a moment.
Yeah.
I'm here to hopefully like push you guys in the right direction if you need help. But at the end of the day, I'm just here to capture your life and what's happening on your day.
Yeah.
And other than that, like I'll put a little spice on it, but
Put a little
like-
spice on it.
like my spice is being
Yeah.
able to capture it in a way that's going to be beautiful and memorable. It's
Yeah.
not to change the actual moment
Right.
to what I want.
Which I love and I completely stand true of. Like so many of my weddings, I'm just a complete fly on the wall. But there are clients who they want you to pose them. They want, and it's just a different style, I will say. But some people, they want whatever is going to literally look the best. So if you need to stage their entire day, then so be it. But I will say, like for the most part, clients are hiring a photo and video team who are pretty similar on their alignment, right? So if you're getting like the super Vogue photographer, you're usually going to get the super Vogue videographer. And if that's not the case and you're like, I'm going in with the photographer who is shooting completely different styles than I am, like that's when I open up the communication long before the wedding day. I'm just like, hey, like, like this is kind of how I work on the wedding day. Let me know like if there's anything that I can do for you. And I am that way throughout any relationship, the planner, the vendor, the client, the photographer, whoever I'm working with throughout the entire experience, I am always like, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
And like again, that's putting the ego down. That is like, if there's anything that I can do to help you, if there's anything that you need consistently all across the board with everyone, like I'm never going to act like I am sitting here, I'm the best of the best. You need to be like, what can you do for me? Like, and me just like sending that extra message, what can I do for you? It goes so much further than people think it does, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. No, you're good at it. You're good at sending the messages.
Thanks.
Even leading up to this, like you're like reaching out and hitting like those touch points,
Thanks.
And I'm like, dang, I need to be better at this. My brother tells me all the time, he's like, you're a terrible texter. I'm like, I am. I'm trying to get better. Give me some grace.
It's hard.
But it's tough to like, especially if you're touching points with so many people.
Yeah.
It's like I need a spreadsheet. I need a assistant to like touch points with everybody.
Seriously, yeah, because it's a lot and it's overwhelming. Like it's
Yeah.
overwhelming thinking about all the relationships that you are keeping afloat and everything that you're doing
Definitely.
business wise. Like it's a lot.
It is
but
a lot.
Worth it.
Totally. I have just a random alarm going off, so I'm gonna turn that off.
I was like, what sounds like a video game intro right now?
No, I have my friends and I play Among Us actually, so they're all like texting right now.
Wait, are you
And-
serious?
Yeah, we have like an Among Us group chat, literally.
Not me
Everybody's-
literally going, what video game intro is that? It's your alarm to the Among Us video game?
Yeah, we play Among Us, not nightly, but we have like a group chat and everybody's like wanting to play right now. It's so
That's
funny.
so funny. Okay, I remember
So
that
I'm gonna
game.
I'm gonna hop off now. Actually, it's great talking to you, but I actually have something more important to do. Imagine I did that,
And that's a wrap.
or I just like the rest of the podcast. I'm just sitting here like playing Among Us as you're talking.
You're like, yeah, so how did you get into this? Like re-asking me the same questions?
Yeah. You're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, chill. I'm the imposter right now. I got business to attend to.
Right. I'm winning. Oh, sorry. I literally can't. Could you imagine?
That'd be crazy. Anyway, wait, I had a really interesting question actually for you. You said you shot like 150 weddings in the past, what, like 3 years?
No, 5. Going on
5.
6.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 100, like around 150 total.
Yeah.
Like 5 years.
Maybe
it's a lot
like
of weddings.
Maybe like 120.
Okay, we'll say
maybe I
150 just because
overestimated.
that sounds better.
Okay, I'd have to do the math.
Either way, it's a
lot.
lot of weddings.
A lot. Yeah.
Just dumb it down to a 5-year-old. A lot of weddings.
A lot.
What does your dream wedding look like?
Ooh.
Jesse, you better listen up.
Yeah, better listen. Honestly,
Jesse's your boyfriend, by the way, if you don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Such a sweetheart. Truly. Like,
I still haven't met him, actually.
I thought you did meet
No.
him. Memorial weekend, right?
No, I don't think I did, actually.
Why do I feel like you did meet him?
I don't remember it.
Okay.
Because he didn't come with you over to, like, the cookout that we had that one time.
No, you're right. You didn't meet him.
Yeah.
You haven't met him. Okay.
We'll meet soon. We'll meet soon, Jesse.
This is for you.
In the meantime, we're going to plan your wedding.
Yeah. Everything we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
My
I'm
scrapbook.
just flipping it.
Right. No, I absolutely adore him. It's so fun too because he's from LA and so he's like total
cool.
city boy. I'm very country girl, so we make a good mix.
That's cool.
Anyways.
Opposites attract.
Opposites totally attract. They really do. Okay, but honestly, in terms of my wedding, I don't have a great answer. Like, I really haven't.
You don't got a scrapbook out there?
I will say that I know for sure, and I think this is because of the type of filmmaker that I am and what I enjoy filming. I know that I want it to be like very entertainment heavy. So like I
Really?
definitely
Okay.
want like to have like right now, like I love how people are bringing like live instruments in to play with the DJ. So the DJ, like you get all the songs that you want, and then they bring in the saxophonist and they bring in the violinist and they're like
That's
playing
cool.
to the DJ. That has to happen. Definitely so here for a mariachi band.
Heck yeah.
Like entertainment is what I thought of. But
Yeah.
truly, I think also too with just like everything that I've gone through in my past, I really have come to this point where it's like I am just taking everything one step at a time in a sense of like planning things, because my whole life I had everything so planned out.
Right.
So it's like there's definitely things like, and as I've like built a life in my current relationship, like I'm like, no, like this is it. Like I'm so excited for that. But I'm also like taking that where it's like I don't want to have everything just like so planned out,
Yeah.
you know? And so the details of that, I know like some of the things, you know, like
you know vibes. You know
Right,
what
I
you
know
want.
vibes.
You know,
I know vibes.
You know, like, okay. Do you want an indoor or outdoor wedding?
that I also don't know. Like,
Really?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
Maybe you're just flying by the seat of your pants.
I'm like a blank canvas. I also think my job, it is so like the weddings that I'm filming are so truly so far out of touch of
True.
what I would
Very
have.
true.
Right? Like I'm not having
You're
a
not spending $5 million.
I'm not having
on
a
a
$5
wedding.
million wedding. And so it also can be very easy, like with trends going in and out. And so I think it's just been best for me of like, we're going to leave it open until I am like literally engaged planning my wedding, because
Yeah.
so many things come up and then they're out and then they're in and then they're out, you know?
Yeah.
But entertainment heavy for sure. I know I want those things. Want just like good vibes, you know? Want
love it.
really like really cool party.
I want Reese's Puffs at my wedding.
Indoor or outdoor?
Dude, I want a cereal bar like at my wedding, like at the reception.
A branded cereal bar.
Sure, why not? Just like milk and cereal.
It could be
Yo, come get a bowl
like
of
the
Reese's Puffs
Glensway.
after you're like done dancing. You know,
I love that. Everything is like, you can do whatever you want.
literally.
Like you could literally do whatever you
You
want.
know what my dream scenario is?
Yeah, I want to hear this. Tell
All
me
right,
your
this is my-
scrapbook.
This is my scrapbook in
Okay.
my head because it's not on paper, but it's in there. Future wife, if you're listening,
This one's for you.
this one's for you.
No, tell me.
My dream scenario, and this just is because of like where my life is and like who I love and where they're at.
Yeah.
I want to have an intimate wedding, like I told you, like
Right.
an elopement,
An
intimate
elopement.
wedding, somewhere, I don't know where, in the mountains. But then I want to do like a tour, like a 3-stop tour for the like party or the reception.
Okay.
So basically, we'd like brand it like, yo, like we're going on tour, and just hit like 3 stops across the country. And
love
then
this.
throw a party for each kind of region of the country, and then people come to that to like celebrate the wedding.
I literally love that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay, so where
Genius,
though?
huh?
Like, are you in the country? Or are you out?
It would be most likely. Well, at this point, I could throw like a Europe party too, but
I could just casually. I could throw you a
casually.
party.
This is dream scenario, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
no.
So like, this is if I have
We
$5
dream
million
big here.
to spend,
Yeah,
right?
no. We're creatives. We dream big.
Exactly. You can always do it on a budget. But anyway, right now, the 3 cities that I would have in mind
Okay.
are Nashville, Chicago, and LA.
Okay, so you have like a welcome brunch in Nashville, your wedding day in Chicago, and then you.
No, I'm saying I get married out of the country. These are all like the same party. So we have the same party in 3 separate cities, and we go on tour to see all of our friends.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's sick. So you're basically
We're not getting married 3 times
right
or 4 times.
but
yeah.
you're having like a really dope reception. I've seen that
Exactly.
a lot in the wedding industry, actually, especially
Really?
over the last few years. Is a lot of people are going and getting married somewhere like really beautiful across the world that they want to with like just them, maybe their close family,
Yep.
and then they come back and they do a reception somewhere.
It's
big.
genius.
I think it's a really great idea, right? Like obviously you're probably spending a little bit more because you're doing 2 separate like
You are.
places, but you're getting best of both worlds, right? Like why not go get married in the Dolomites in Italy and then come back and
Exactly.
party in LA? Like
Exactly.
that's a vibe.
I feel like I could pull off the parties in places that aren't specific wedding venues.
Yeah.
Which would make it a little cheaper too.
Right, because you don't need a place that's like, oh, I can host the ceremony and reception. Like you could literally
just need a party.
Right, just need a party.
Yeah, and it would still be like a wedding reception of sorts. Like we would wear like our wedding clothes, you know,
your wedding attire.
or like a stripped down version of it. But yeah
okay,
that'd be sick.
okay. So Ben's future wife, take note. Because
we'll take you on tour with us when we do it.
Yes.
That's the other thing. Like I want like I'll either hire local or just like, I want it to feel like a tour. You know what I mean?
I love that. You
like,
need
I want
like the tour bus.
Maybe.
Could you imagine?
That'd be funny. That'd be so hilarious.
Like branded out and everything.
And then you like sell tickets, but like they're the wedding invites.
That is such a, when did you think about this?
It's been brewing for probably like 3 years now.
That's such a cool idea. Yes, please make that happen. Like now I'm waiting. So I think that's a phenomenal
Now the pressure's on because I put it out there.
You did. Like you've put this into the world now. Like it has to happen. Yeah. Oh, I wish I had cooler wedding ideas. But
it's okay. You'll get there.
Yeah,
you'll get there someday.
Yeah, I'll get there. I'll figure it out.
You have all the inspiration in the world though.
I do. And
once you want to put a book together.
Yeah.
You literally just have to go through footage.
Yeah, that's why I just keep it a blank slate right now because I just have it's like too much, you know.
Yeah.
It's like all sorts of things because like all I think about is like entertainers, like entertainment, you know.
No,
like
it's good. You want people to want to be there.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be boring.
Absolutely. Like I'm honestly like, okay, you don't want bad food at a wedding, but like no one walks away from a wedding and was like, wow, the food was just so good. Like
not really.
No.
It's more the vibes. Yeah.
It's totally the vibes.
Just have an In-N-Out truck.
You know?
Nobody will care. Everybody be stoked.
In-N-Out
truck
for
dinner. Stoked.
Okay, if you could have a fast food chain cater your wedding, would it be In-N-Out? You have to choose fast food chain.
Dang, that's kind of tough actually. In-N-Out would probably be up there.
Yeah.
I don't know. What other fast food do I like?
I would choose Arby's, and everyone's gonna hate on
Really?
me for saying that.
Why Arby's?
I don't know. I just love it.
So you're a small town, 200 person town girl. She don't know anything different. She grew up on Arby's. She grew up on what's their slogan? Arby's, we have the meat. She grew up on that roast beef. That's what she grew up on.
Okay, the chicken sandwiches, the chicken wraps are really good. Okay. They're slept on for sure. The curly fries, the milkshakes, like so good. It's slept on. It's fine. Everyone in California, literally, when I say that, they're like, "That's disgusting."
Arby's really isn't like a California thing, I don't think.
I guess not.
It's more of like a Midwest or I guess P&W thing. I never knew they had them up there.
Yeah, that's what I would do if I had to choose a fast food chain.
Chick-fil-A would be good.
Oh, yeah, Chick-fil-A
would be fire.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think like, no one is like raving about the food. That it's like, if you bring in a cool experience, like truly, like people are happy with that. Obviously, you want to make them full. As long as you fill up people's stomachs, they are happy.
Exactly.
Right?
They're happy, and then they get to go dance and burn all the calories.
Yeah. Side note.
Side note what?
I don't know. That was the side note to talk about food at weddings.
Oh, yeah. I was like, you have another side note off of this side note?
No.
Go on another tangent. What does life look like for you? I know you said you don't like scrapbook your wedding, but what does life look like for you for the next 5 years? Like, what are you really pushing yourself to be as a person, but also where do you want to be? What do you want to do?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I feel like that's like such a good question. I think, again, I do try to hold myself to someone who doesn't plan to a T so much. I definitely would say like, if someone was like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Like, I definitely want to be married. Would love like at the end of those 5 years to like, have a family. Like absolutely. Yeah. Like I definitely want lots of kids.
What kind of dog do you want?
I really like Rottweilers.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like that's what
Arby's and Rottweilers. It's crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy.
Taking those two things out makes me sound crazy.
Now I know why you don't scrapbook.
Yeah. Because imagine those two things together. But yeah, I definitely like, see myself like hitting those milestones like in the next 5 years, just because like I've obviously worked so hard to, and to then like found someone that makes me really excited to do those things. It just like really puts things in perspective.
For sure.
Career wise, I truly just want to keep climbing to the top. I mean, honestly, like for me, like I want to be the best luxury female wedding videographer. I don't know why, like those words just would not come out, but I want to be the
It's a word
best
salad.
female luxury wedding videographer that's out there in the world. So that's the goal that I'm working towards, and just continuously pushing myself. And I obviously like continuously am working towards, charging more, working less, to then build that kind of sustainable lifestyle, to have a family and run my business. But yeah, I think right now, I'm in such, and it's so funny because I wrote this in the journal, but I was just talking.
Oh, my journal, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like talking about being content, and that it's like okay to be really content. And I think right now I'm in this season of a really positive contentness, and I think it's very easy for us. Like we don't want to sit in content. We are always chasing the next thing, and I'm so guilty of that. Because I feel like I can always be chasing the next thing.
Yeah.
That we look at content as like this bad thing, that we're like, oh my gosh, if you're content, then you must be bored and unsatisfied and like, what's next, right? But I think like really just sitting in that and being like really appreciative of all the things that I have in front of me, the relationships that I have, the friendships, the family, everything that my career is doing for me right now. Like I'm really happy. And so I think the next 5 years,
cool.
I just hope that they mimic what this year has been,
That's cool. I
Plus
like that.
other things,
Obviously, you always want to grow and like have new experiences.
Yeah, difference between, and I also wrote this in the journal, there's a difference between working towards your goals and like chasing things, right? Like we all like love working hard, like totally have that work ethic, and I preach the hard work ethic on everyone that I know. But I just think also realizing like we are all very fortunate to be where we are, and just sitting in that contentness and being really happy.
Exactly.
So
go play pickleball on a Tuesday.
Okay, wait, but what your turn?
My turn.
Maybe you've answered this question
for next 5 years.
Yeah.
I think for me, like I told you earlier, I want to do this till I'm like 60 or 70.
Yeah.
So obviously,
growing this.
Still want to do this. Want to grow this. Want to really like make it a place that people can just thrive in. Like the movement itself is like, I want to empower people with this podcast, and also just the movement of Created to Create, to just realize, one, you're a lot more creative than you think you are. And two, there's like such a bigger purpose for life if you haven't found that yet for you, So I want to be doing that. I talked about my wedding, but I don't necessarily like think and dream of marriage. I think that's something I've actually let go in the last couple years, because it's like I grew up wanting that over everything.
It was like drilled into your head.
Drilled in my head. So, I think like I've learned to let that go, but I wouldn't, like in 5 years, like I could see myself married too, right?
You meet the right person, it could completely change that perspective.
Exactly. But want to keep doing that. I want to keep traveling. Want to keep just like living life, playing pickleball on a Tuesday. For me, I think like bigger goals that I'm realizing now and pushing myself towards are living like a way healthier lifestyle. Like pushing myself athletically and physically, and getting back to my quote unquote prime athletically, but also pushing past that.
Yeah.
Like I want to do extreme things. Like I want to skydive. I want to go like snowboard from the top of a mountain all the way to down. Like I want to pick a line. Like I want to like heli ski, like stuff like that. Like I want to do extreme things.
Yeah.
That my body can't physically do right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to, not yet. Exactly. So that's for me, like that's motivation right now, and I think God will take care of the rest. He'll take care of the career. He'll take care of what I need to be in order to like live a life that's like continually caring for people and pouring into people.
Yeah.
And I'm just along for the ride.
I love it, which is honestly, it's been so cool to just like see this podcast, even just like listen to other people and like hear their perspectives. And it's so cool because everyone really does have a different journey. And we often think in our heads, like you said, it's like you grew up, I was the same way. You grow up thinking like you find someone ASAP, you get married to them, you go to school, you work the 9 to 5. Again, we're not hating on that at all. But that was like what you and I were very much used to hearing, right?
Yep.
And so even to just kind of like let go of some of those things and accept what God has in store for you may not be exactly what you grew up thinking was exactly what you needed to do. And just hearing all these different perspectives is like so freeing.
Yeah. Yeah, because those things are good. And like as believers, like as followers of Jesus, as children of God, like we are called to, we're called into marriage. Like marriage is such a good thing. And like children are such a blessing. And so those things aren't something that I want to neglect in my planning. Like they're not something that I would just be like, like, I mean, those are cool, but skydiving is so much cooler. Like they're both like this, like the marriage, the kids is still so much more important than the skydiving. But also the skydiving is like, that'd be sick.
I think it's like the timeline of it all, right? Is accepting that everything is happening in God's time. Even what you were saying, you're like, no, you meet the right person, like your perspective, like love to get married, but you're not like, I need to meet someone tomorrow and like get married next week,
Because dating would be so stressful at that.
Yeah.
Like, and, not like to say settling is like the worst thing, but I just don't know if I'm pursuing something on my own timeline, marriage, then I would be settling for something that is less than what God has for me and someone, and that just wouldn't be the partnership that is needed for me to grow, for her to grow, so it's so important to not rush that. And I think that's something that like always stuck with me. So even if I was like pursuing or wanting, not pursuing, but like wanting marriage early on, I always like heard that piece of advice from people that were older than me, saying like, hey, like, don't rush. My aunt and uncle didn't get married till like 32. And that's just because that's the way like the cookie crumbled for them, and they dated many people before that.
Yeah.
And they both kind of had that patience, and then they found each other, and I see what they have and the way that they've been able to like build a relationship with each other. Right. And for me, that like fuels my fire because it gives me the freedom to wait, but also be expectant and know when to go.
Wow. Yeah. Your whole thought process, like I've been there. And so it's like your whole thought process is just so valid because it is so important to wait and not rush and just like let those things come to you. But that's way easier said than done.
Way easier.
Way easier said than done. We can sit here and say it, but it's hard.
Exactly. Talking's easy, but you got to go out.
Do the actions. I realized that like this whole time I've had like my pinky up.
It's a high noon tea.
And I'm like going to be so embarrassed when we go to watch this podcast back and I'm sitting here talking to you like.
And your whole pinky's just like
this.
up the whole time. That's hilarious. I hope you guys got something out of it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I really hope you got something out of it and didn't just listen to me ramble about life.
But no, truly, like if anyone out there, like one relates on a personal level, reach out to me. If you relate on a business level, like if you want to know anything about wedding videography, like please reach out to me. I have so much education on my page. And I think that's why like sometimes it's hard for me to like go through it here is because like I have so much truly.
We could talk for another 5 hours.
Truly, we could talk so much. See, here I am with my pinky again. Oh my gosh, this is the weirdest thing.
Embrace it.
This is
Embrace
so weird.
it. Just throw it up. Throw the pinkies up.
I just can't. Yeah, I'm
Pinkies
just sitting
up,
here.
everybody.
Just can't help it.
No, but I mean, yeah, we could talk so much business, truly. But yeah, if anyone has any questions or is in wedding videography or is like, maybe I'm thinking about it, reach out. If you're in it and you're like, can I build a sustainable career out of this? I don't know. All my friends like ditched weddings a long time ago, but I like it. Yeah, reach out to me because like I truly am such an open book and am so happy to help. And so yeah, there's tons of education out there from me. So
I agree. Do it. Reach out. She's definitely an open book. She'll respond to you. She's very down to earth. Hopefully this podcast has shown you that. So Yeah.
You've learned about my whole life. So do what you will with it. No,
I
but thank
love it.
you so much for having me on here. Like, I
welcome.
really, really appreciate it.
It was an honor and a privilege.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. See you guys. Take it easy. Peace.
Bye.